Hi, and welcome to the Festive Tech Calendar. It's the 11th of December, and today I'm going to be running a session on Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So, without further ado, let's get it underway. As you can see, I'm sporting a Christmas jumper and Christmas hat, which seems to go in and out of focus because of my background, but I have got a rather festive hat going on here. So anyway, who am I? My name's Chris Goodwill. I'm a strategic partner manager and solution specialist. But today I'm going to be delivering a session on optimizing customer experience with Dynamics 365 Contact Center, which I hope you'll enjoy. Who am I? Well, I'm an industry expert on contact center solutions, particularly Microsoft ones, both certified and the native options. I've worked in voice and data for about 30 years now, half of that career working in telecommunications, building voice networks, voice and data networks, and then for the second half, the last sort of 15 years, I've been in the Microsoft partner network, working for one partner in the southwest of England, and now working at Simity for the last 4 years. And I'm their strategic partner manager and solution specialist, focused on contact center. So I work with our key vendors to develop those relationships, including Microsoft now because of this product, sitting in business applications. And I'm also an SME, so I help customers. I work with account directors, I work with the pre-sales team here, and deliver presentations or pre-sales material for engagements. Real quick slide on Simity, so where I work. So we're a Microsoft solutions partner and focus on communications, collaboration, and security. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a Microsoft badge there. So we're Partner of the Year for 2024. We were the winner for Converge Comms, which we're super proud of. But yeah, what do we do? Telephony solutions, contact centers, Teams rooms, adoption campaigns across all those technologies. We also develop apps. We have modern security practice, and we do operational maintenance for all of those products. So let's get into the main presentation. So why the Dynamics 365 Contact Center product? Why do we need another entrance into the market? Well, fundamentally, we need to think about kind of what's happening with customer service. And certainly from my looking into the marketplace and looking at kind of trends, like customer service seems to be at almost a bit of an all-time low. It's poor across a whole range of organizations, whether that's in the public sector or the private sector. But why is that? Well, customers have got a whole range of different ways that they can communicate with an organization. And through those channels, we call it omni-channel, they can then kind of self-serve or should be able to self-serve. But in actual fact, all of the platforms they use for those different channels are often segmented. They're often different, not cohesive, don't work together. And then the routing of those kind of outputs, those queries, those questions that they have, they go to agents in a whole different raft of ways. And it means that the agents are using multiple tools and inboxes. So often in a contact center, it could be upward of 5 platforms that they've got on screen, often much more windows in terms of being able to flick between customer details. And they don't have the agents don't have a 360-degree view of the customer. So they're having to go to different systems to find the information that they need, which is a real pain for them what they're trying to do is deliver good customer service and give good customer experience. Supervisors and service leaders as well, because these platforms are the channels are all over different platforms. They have no real way of seeing kind of the performance of customer service and the performance of the contact center. And there's no integrated view of the data sort of end to end. We've got siloed data, we've got fragmented systems. Once again, we've got fragmented systems, siloed data in the people who are actually using the platforms. And all of these things, the lack of context for the customer being pulled through their journey with an organization is a real headache. How many times do we have to repeat what we've said, whether we've started with live chat or chatbot and then we get to an agent, and have to repeat ourselves? That lack of context is super frustrating and inefficient. So service with Copilot. So Copilots, if you've been hidden under a rock or just not aware, then Copilot as an AI tool then kind of burst onto the scene well over a year ago now. It's probably coming up on 2 years, and we're all using it, or mostly using it in work, or at least some kind of generative AI. But Microsoft have taken what was the digital contact center platform, DCCP, and formalized it into this new product we're going to talk about. And really, for me, the superpower has been adding in Copilot. And Copilot has enabled it to deliver personalized service experience. The teams that are using the platform work smarter. They can use generative AI to deliver better outcomes. So it's saving them time and effort all of the time. The efficiency and kind of scale of operations, this is really to do with the service leaders and contact center managers that are using, trying to manage the platforms and trying to improve customer service. So having insights, automatically generated, whether it's real time or historical, that's super important. So DCCP plus Copilot equals Dynamics 365 Contact Center. And one thing to say right from the outset is that the product's called Dynamics 365 Contact Center, and people's expectation is that you need Dynamics 365 already. You don't. It can be used headless. It can be used as a standalone product. So that's an important thing to bear in mind. Certainly, though, where you have got an existing CRM, or you already use Dynamics 365 customer service, then this is going to bring kind of additional benefits really in terms of drawing on customer data. So yeah, so there are connectors already with some of the platforms. So some standard connectors like for ServiceNow, Salesforce, Zendesk, and essentially anything with an open API it could connect to. And that's something we've seen in the ISV world with the certified contact centers. But yeah, it's essentially a standalone contact center if you wish it to be that. So these three pillars are how I try and think about the product, and certainly how I talk about the product with customers and with people internally when I'm trying to explain about what it is. So the first one is kind of self-service. Next one is agent assist, and the third one is kind of driving efficiencies. So we're going to delve into each of these in a bit more detail. So the self-service then is, as you'd expect, kind of customers being able to use their channel of choice. So we talked about the omni-channel options, whether it's SMS, whether it's live chat, whether it's email, whether it's more traditionally voice, etc. But to be able to self-serve as much as possible. The agents then, we want to empower agents. Copilot is here to assist, and it will definitely make a huge difference in terms of agent performance and agent satisfaction, which then has an impact on churn and people being happier as agents working in contact centers. So we're trying to assist. This really is where the key power of AI comes in. It's assistive technology. We're not looking here at replacing people in a contact center. We're looking at helping them, and then driving the efficiency. So um, supervisors, leaders, management, we're trying to pull what was historically disparate data into a single platform and then being able to report on it and show trends, so show usage, measure things like sentiment analysis, etc. And for the people managing the operation to be able to help drive really great customer service. Produced this infographic myself using some slideware today from Microsoft, just for full disclosure. But it's worth just thinking about what makes up Dynamics 365 Contact Center. And it was born out of a framework architecture, digital contact center platform, which was essentially a bit of a mashup of tools. So in the toolkit, there were various different platforms where if you pulled them together, you could orchestrate and create a contact center yourself for customers. And certainly with the advent of things like omni-channel for customer service, then that enabled kind of true customer facing kind of capabilities, service to be able to be delivered. But what's that made of? And I like infographics. I like to be able to see things visually sometimes. Just helps me understand them. Also helps me get that message across. So here I've gone for a food one. In fact, there's another one later on that's food related as well. So at the bottom we've got Azure Cloud. So the platform's built on Azure Cloud. What does that bring? That brings the scalability, the security, the reliability. So we've got critical workloads here in terms of voice and digital channels and the routing, and we need that to work. And so what better way than building it on Microsoft Azure, where we've got geo redundancy, we've got continuity, disaster recovery, all of those things built and architected into the platform. What's the next layer? So the next layer is the Dataverse. So the Dataverse gives Copilot the data to deliver like the 360 customer view. So customer journeys, agent profiles, all of these things are stored in the Dataverse, and they can be surfaced into Dynamics 365 Contact Center. Next is Power Platform. So Power Platform, in itself allows Power Apps to be built, and those can be used with Power Automate to allow for tasks to be automated. This has kind of been superseded a little bit in that more recently at Ignite, or before Ignite, then we heard about autonomous agents, and autonomous agents, things like the case management and knowledge management agents and customer intent agents will bring some automation into the customer service environment. But for where things need to be bespoke and tailored to a customer, then Power Automate is there for us. And Power BI is part of Power Platform. That allows for bespoke reporting and analytics with standard reporting, standard displays of information built into the product, but where you want to create something definitive for an organization, then Power BI can be used. The superpower kind of in the middle of the product, then Copilot. So Copilot for Dynamics 365 does a whole range of things. Certainly powers the unified routing. So previously we were looking at that slide where the methods of routing were kind of all over the place really as to how they get calls or any kind of messaging from a customer to an agent. So Copilot will look at things like skills, sentiment analysis, intent, effort, utilization, scheduling, presence, capacity, and deliver the the call or the contact to the right agent using the right platform, the right channel rather, at the right time. It also can look at the 360-degree view for the customer and do things like case and conversation summarization. And that's something that will significantly save time in contact centers, the amount of time spent wrapping up and actually writing up notes that were taken during a call. A Copilot can do that automatically. Helping create knowledge base articles, drafting emails, kind of proactive tools and forecasting and scheduling. So Copilot's at the heart of kind of driving a lot of the automation, either using Gen AI or using based on curated data from an organization. Copilot Studio then mentioned about the autonomous agents, and in the same way, we can build bots, conversational bots for a particular client or organization. So that can draw on conversations, knowledge, interaction history, integrated data. So where we've got the contact center plugged into things like a website, FAQs, knowledge sources, CRM, whatever database you've got. An example would be in local government. Local governments typically have quite data-rich websites where there's lots of information all over the place. Though you're trying to navigate it to find your answer. Could be recycling. The times for recycling, could be waste disposal, it could be recycling centres, for example, to find out when they're open and where they're located. But being able to surface that information in a kind of chatbot situation is relatively easy using Copilot Studio. And then channels, I've used the Teams logo, but obviously it's not the only and probably not the primary channel that's used with Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So whether, we've got web chat, we've got live chat, IVRs, voice bots, email, social media, even the Internet of Things, as well as Microsoft Teams, then there's a whole raft of ways that customers wish to communicate with organizations, and the platform allows that to be delivered. So we've gone from this essential, if we just flick back and just a second, we go back to this slide and things really are kind of siloed, fragmented. We then spin forward and we've got this situation where the first segment then is around self-service. So for customers to be able to use things like chatbots, IVR and voice bots, will come onto that, to be able to self-serve as much as possible. We've then got assisted service, whereby unified routing, we're talking about Copilot using skills identification, sentiment analysis, intent determination to be able to route the calls to the right agents at the right time. And then for those agents where now they've got Copilot as their superpower, they've got 360-degree view of the customer, they can easily escalate and collaborate with other members of their teams. And for people managing the platform, and they've got one system, essentially one vendor, if they, particularly where they've got Dynamics 365 customer service already, or heavily invested with Microsoft, then one system, one vendor, and all data is integrated. And then underneath it, we've got, case management, knowledge management talked about, can create cases automatically and append case summarizations into those. Also, we can create knowledge base articles. So based on the best response from an agent that's satisfying customers, that can be reviewed, curated, and then added into knowledge base. So yeah, so we really have looked at really modernizing the service to give a complete new platform for the organization. Let's get into these three pillars then. So the first one is around self-service. So we're looking at trying to reduce call volumes or volumes generally into contact centers through self-service. And for most of us contacting a range of organizations, typically we have to wait a long time in queue. We're sat in queue, we're updated on our positioning queue. There's some nice music playing, as if that's going to make the pain of waiting any easier. But that's kind of what we've got used to. Um, this platform's different. It's looking at trying to deliver as much self-service up front as possible. So one of the ways of doing that, it's not necessarily new, but with Microsoft native product, is the omni-channel, all those range of channels that we were talking about being available to customers, they can be made available 24/7. So self-service now can be delivered when it suits the customer, and can even make the service more personalized. So it really empowers a customer rather than it just be between the hours of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or maybe there's a few hours on Saturday or Sunday when the contact center's being staffed. Customers can actually still contact the organization, and through using whichever channel they like, self-served with answers to their queries to a certain degree, to the degree that the platform can, surface the data and answer, then that's what we're looking at here. So we're trying to contain and reduce call volumes. The context we were talking about, the context flowing through the journey for the customer is, it shouldn't be the case. Once we've done security checks or whatever screening we need to perform to make sure it's the right customer, is through doing that, it then knows who that customer is and should have access to previous buying history or cases that have been raised by the customer, etc. How many times do we go through the screening then to have to kind of repeat ourselves or get into explaining what's happened before? The idea here is that the platform automatically knows what we want, what our intent is really, potentially anyway. And that's powered by generative AI as well. So it just means that customers' questions are answered as much as possible. You can use things like IVRs, use IVR. So in frictionless conversational IVR experience, what a mouthful that is in itself. But basically being able to talk to the IVR, at the moment we're in a situation where we get into the IVR and then really we're looking to get out of it as soon as possible to speak to a human agent, trying to navigate the options, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 10, whatever it is. Typically, it's quite frustrating to know, can be quite limited, the options that you have, or understanding who in those options is going to be able to help. So just speaking to the IVR in kind of natural language, so using natural language processing, NLP, in real time, can interact with the IVR as if you're speaking to an agent. And, depending on, again, the data sources that it has access to and generative AI, then the idea is that IVR will help and answer as many questions as it can cope with. How does it reach? How do we get to all of this kind of context and kind of cases and all the information? So we're talking about easy connection to trusted knowledge sources. I gave the example of the local government using, typically having quite a rich website, or any business applications platform that can be integrated into the contact center. So as much data as possible. The platform can, as I've said, can be used headless, can be used standalone, but really I think for Dynamics 365 Contact Center, like the real power is when you've got a variety of knowledge sources that typically an agent would try to navigate to try and find an answer, and the platform has access to that. They're connected easily, and self-service element of the platform can answer as many of the as much, sorry, of the customer's queries as possible. A slide here that was taken from a talk at Microsoft at Partner Springboard, attended in the UK in London, and a peer at Microsoft, Ben Sandor, presented it, and kind of adapted it a little bit. So at the moment, we've got, traditional self-service is really heavy with escalations to live agents. So at the start, we've maybe got maybe like a layered IVR. Maybe we've got a bit of a chatbot that might be kind of going on. So some partial automation, try to take some details at least. But then the bulk of it ends up, we're just really waiting, we're deflecting and waiting to get to an agent. So it's almost like maybe it's adding some value, but it's just really kind of queuing up, waiting to speak to a person. With the new platform, what we're looking at here is as much as possible automating and deflecting, so as much self-service as possible. That's what we want to achieve. And really the escalation bit to live agents, you can see down here, that's the smaller segment of interactions. So it's only really, the idea is that we get used to and with good delivered customer service, excellent customer service, excellent customer experience, then we don't feel that we have to hit the hash key a million times to actually speak to an agent, because we're happy interacting through natural language, like I said, with an IVR, where it's answering the questions. Fundamentally, why have we got in contact with an organization's contact center? Because we've got a question we want answering. That's it, really. So as long as we can do that in an effective and efficient way, then customers will get more and more used to AI-powered contact center solutions and customer experience. But yeah, I just thought this was a good way of kind of illustrating how self-service is kind of flipped on its head. The next piece, so we're talking about these three pieces. We've got self-service, we've got the agent assist, and we've got driving efficiencies. So if we move on to agent assisted service, so like I said previously, then agents have struggled just having a plethora of platforms to deal with to be able to kind of help customers. Also, by the time the call gets to the agent, the customer's probably frustrated with long wait times. First thing that's said is an apology that they've had to wait so long. They're already on the back foot. So kind of frustrating, really. So how can we help the agent? So the first way was in terms of routing the customer's query. So where we've exhausted self-service, and we can no longer kind of add any value there, and we need to go to a human agent. Or it might be in a certain organization, the self-service element is relatively light, and actually what that organization has decided to do is just be able to gather the right information at the start. It's already going to have connection to knowledge sources, so it'll know about the customer, and then deliver the call or deliver the communication to the right channel, to the right agent rather, in any of the channels. So that's the first way. So actually getting the call to the right person at the right time in the right way. Then we've got Copilot. So Copilot will sit alongside the normal workspace for the customer, for the agent, sorry, in the contact center, and will as a kind of, it'll be embedded really for a lot of us. possibly watching this, we're already using Copilot in Microsoft 365. It's already becoming part of our day-to-day life. It's already saving us time by us being able to ask questions and to generate things. So in the same way, imagine that you've empowered your contact center agents with that. We want the agents then to have this 360-degree view of customer. So, no longer are they trying to hunt for information. It should be surfaced to them, showing kind of previous interactions. Maybe they've raised tickets. What does their profile look like? What's their spending profile look like? Are they a VIP customer, for example? So when a call comes through, they know they need to be treated in a certain way according to company policies. So all of these things will kind of help the agent being able to surface knowledge base articles. So based on what the customer's asking, go back to this bit really, how Copilot can help. Having previously seen the same question asked, if it hasn't been answered in self-service or it needs some more explanation with a human agent, then being able to provide that information from the agent direct to the customer by drawing on knowledge base articles that have happened before. Um, the the other bit is kind of getting support from colleagues and the kind of supervisors and managers who are working alongside the agents in the contact center. So having some visibility of ongoing sessions for them and how they are going, what's happening with the sentiment of that conversation. Does the supervisor need to kind of step in and just help them, whether that's through whisper, etc., or a barge if things are become escalated or abusive, or there's a situation where a supervisor needs to help that agent as much as possible, then having those tools is really important. And the final bit, really, you can tell the solution's more complex than just three topics, and there's a wealth of features and functions available in Dynamics 365 Contact Center. But yeah, the third kind of topic and theme then is around driving efficiency and reducing costs. And as just said then, empowering supervisors, managers, contact center leads, where kind of they can visualize key metrics, they can see trends as they're occurring. This can be in real time and historical, and therefore they can react. It might be that they need to pull more resource into a certain segment of the contact center, maybe handling a certain channel that's become really busy because of something occurring externally or even internally. Something's happened, some kind of promotion. So yeah, being able to look at the trends that are going on will be really, really helpful. You can also look at Copilot's impact. So it might be a situation where you've got certain agents who are really taking advantage of Copilot and its support that it gives them in their role. And you'll be able to see from metrics, how much that has helped them. What's the key impact? What's the time saving for them? And maybe other members of the team, aren't using it as much. So it's an opportunity to identify training and some more adoption, whereby you can bring everyone up to a similar level. So they are taking advantage of Copilot and really making their life as easy as possible. The platform also includes some advanced forecasting and scheduling capabilities. So here we talk about integration with workforce engagement management or workforce management, WFM platforms. In the same way, the platform has got some of these capabilities itself in a fundamental way. So it can ensure staffing levels are correct and reduce operational costs where necessary, by just making sure you've got the right people working at the right time. So for the next bit, I just wanted to talk about some of the just to give some examples, really, there's been a range of case studies that have come out. The first customer zero is Microsoft Customer Service and Support, CSS, and we'll come on to that at the end um, with some statistics. But just wanted to, for the audience, just to kind of talk about some verticals and how Dynamics 365 Contact Center might help meet their challenges. Things like flight delays and cancellations. We've all been there where you're traveling, where you're flying, and things don't quite go to plan. The most frustrating thing is being able to get information and updates. And we've seen some success with that in some airlines with the way the app works, or maybe there's some SMS that's sent out, but certainly being able to give a more joined up story there, I think will make a huge difference. Overbooking and compensation, could be handled automatically. It could be a question where the platform then books you on to next available flight, and gives you compensation for that change that's happened. Lost luggage or delayed luggage, again, a bit like flight delays and cancellations, we just need to know what's going on. There's nothing more frustrating than losing your luggage or your luggage being delayed. So being able to provide up-to-date information through a channel of choice for a customer is going to be really important. Talks about personalization of service, and in some organizations, airlines being one, there's often premier kind of VIP clubs. And so it may be that, the self-service experience is different for those customers. It may be, it can still drive time savings through collection of initial information. Maybe then the escalation to a human agent is quicker, or it's just a different experience online on the digital channels that you want to give those customers, so it's rooted to a different experience for the customer. And adapting to technological changes. So yeah, is typically the industry has been met by a lot of challenges with tech changes. Having one platform where data is all pulled together, will make a real difference in the airline industry. Another segment where I can see real benefits for Dynamics 365 is housing associations, and often see in public sector and HAs, we see tenders come out where they're looking at there can be a real, or is in most public services, there's a drive for cost savings and time savings, etc. And Dynamics 365 Contact Center can clearly offer that. But what are some of the challenges? Increased demand. They can often have high call volumes. It could be down to a particular, more recently we've had bad weather in the UK, certainly in the southwest where I've been. That might cause some impact, might cause some damage to housing stock, to where tenants are living, etc. And there might be that demand. So the platform being able to automatically offer self-service at a time of day that suits that individual will be really important. Housing associations typically have limited resources and staffing challenges, and so as much as possible to save the workload for those individuals, and their time, is use the platform to deliver self-service and automation. Talked about the autonomous agents that are coming online now at Microsoft, and so we'll be able to help HAs where they really struggle with resources. The integration of technologies and platforms. So we talked about CRMs, and often housing associations are using distinct or bespoke CRMs. So as long as they've got an open API, we'll be able to pull that data into Dynamics 365 Contact Center, which will make a difference, and be joined up maybe at the moment they're using a phone system, they're using a contact center, they're using a CRM, and they're all disparate. They're not all part of the same ecosystem, and that can cause real headaches for people working in the contact center. Communication preferences. So yeah, some tenants of different generations or different personalities will want to communicate with the housing association in a way that suits them. That could be through text messaging, could be through WhatsApp. A certain generation would prefer that. Still, people of a certain generation might want to call, might want to email, might just, so we need to be able to offer them communication options. So this is where customers can use their channel of choice. And when there's kind of complaints and escalations, then whether that's during a call as it's ongoing, so we're talking about sentiment being measured and looking at that call, supervisor being able to help, or an agent being able to pull a supervisor or a manager into a call to help them. And that's really quite easily done with Dynamics 365 Contact Center. And the final vertical I'm going to look at then is education. So in a similar way to housing associations, they have increased call volumes and complexity. That can be at certain times of year, particularly clearing. At the end of the summer, UK anyway, and from this perspective, is August time, get results for then people moving on to universities or endeavouring to move on, and call volumes can rise, and they can be fairly complex calls. So where possible, where it's an update on an application for a student who wants to go to that university, and we can draw that out of the platform that Dynamics is connected to, Dynamics 365 Contact Center is connected to, and we can easily give updates to students rather than having to wait in queue for a long time to answer what is a relatively simple question. Resources might be limited in the same way. Often it can be a burst at a certain time of year and they need to pull in extra people. That can be quite challenging. How are they trained? What's their adoption of the new technology? So where possible, as much automation, as much self-service will help drive good customer experience for those students, but also potentially reduce the staffing requirements that historically an education institution might have seen. Staffing and retention can be a challenge in educational institutes, and I think this goes across the board in most contact center operations. We want to try and train and retain those staff. Otherwise, with high churn rates, it can be a real impact to the organization. And one thing to think about is Copilot is like a trainer that you've got there right from day one. So it might have been historically that an agent needs to sit and work with a supervisor or a manager, or a senior agent for a number of weeks, often months, to be able to gain the knowledge, to be able to use the platforms, to be able to deliver good customer service. And not that it would be instantaneous, but the learning curve for an agent, it would be greatly reduced. Their onboarding time will be greatly reduced, and they'll have Copilot there to help them right from the start. So all that knowledge from the existing agents would be in an organization, being able to surface the right knowledge base article, the right answer based on a similar query being asked before, etc. Not having to go through multiple systems to be able to find an answer for the customer. That's gonna really help. Student expectations 24/7. Yeah, they want answers when they want answers, basically. So I think potentially for younger generation, then there's just this expectation of 24/7, everything being on at all times. And so giving them the ability to use a range of channels to be able to communicate with their educational establishment is really important. And personalization, is really important. You know, we can based on certain profile of student, ensure that they're getting the right information. Maybe it's related to faculties. There's a huge wealth of information that universities, colleges have on their systems, and often disparate platforms. So being able to personalize and surface the right information for the student at the right time is really important. Talked about some case studies, you know, and kind of, you know, the impact of this solution, you know, powered by generative AI, you know, Copilot. It isn't a theoretical thing, you know, it's already seen real world cases. We've seen some customer service stories come through this year. Coventry City Council has been a UK one, which was delivered by T-Tech. We've seen kind of national ones with 1-800 Flowers, etc. But here I've just picked out the slide for Microsoft's own support organization, who are, like I said before, customer zero. So, you know, the amount of 20% reduction in misroutes of queries, you know, getting the customer's query to the right person at the right time, you know, will make a huge difference to customer satisfaction. First call resolution, you know, one of those stats, kind of FCR used in contact centers. We want to get that as low as possible. We don't want the customer having to contact us again and again. So yeah, whether that's through self-service or through the agent assist, but just being able to, by having all the data in one place, being able to answer customers' queries, that's really important. So Copilot as well, like how's Copilot impacted? So, you know, we've seen an average reduction up to 16% in the handling time for chat cases. And that's where Copilot is, you know, delivering a huge impact towards and being able to surface information automatically based on curated data in an organization. And the increase in chats, you know, managed by support agents now is, that's seen an increase of 9 to 12%. So being able to do that is often more efficient for organizations rather than dealing with customers over traditional voice calls. And the last bit here is 13% decrease in agents requiring peer assistance. This is what I was talking about in terms of onboarding for new agents, or where there's new services and new products introduced in an organization. Copilot will be there to be able to support those agents. So, you know, no longer the requirement that you're sat there with a customer, you need an escalation. There's a limited amount of senior analysts or senior agents or supervisors or managers. And so again, you know, that, please bear with me whilst, you know, I pass you to someone else situation, you know, that's being decreased. So that's making a real positive impact in organizations. I talked about the infographics, and here we've got, again, a bit of a visualization of those different layers. The name Big Stack actually came from another peer at Microsoft, David Reed, his observation of my burger analogy. And so I kind of put this together in the format of the McDonald's advert for the Big Mac when it came out. But it just re-emphasizes that, you know, the whole platform is built of really high quality Microsoft products that all come together then to deliver, you know, a complete customer experience platform. I don't think of Dynamics 365 Contact Center as a contact center. It might sound a bit mad for someone who works with contact centers all the time. It's more about customer experience and, you know, driving that as a platform. I think CRMs, CCAS, UC, it's all morphing together now. Seems to be anyway, and where you can just make the customer's journey really just improve it. not necessarily make it really special. It might not be if it's a really, really mundane query, but improving customer service, I think, it's something um, in the industry we've neglected. We've not had the focus on it. We've had, focus on collaboration, working together, kind of access from home, security has been a focus, collaboration, modern working. But actually, customer service has been relatively neglected, I think. So, my hope is that, with this product and other products in the industry, that we see a real turnaround with customer service. And just thought I'd finish on the slide. Look me up on LinkedIn. So I've become a bit of an evangelist for this product. And yeah, if you want to see daily content on Dynamics 365 Contact Center, then connect with me. If you don't, then don't connect with me. I also created a dedicated LinkedIn group for people working with the product, and it's relevant for partners, for clients, organizations, for anyone really who wants to understand what's going on. Try to share my own content as well as others and from other partners as well. So trying to be agnostic really. Yeah. And if you want to reach out to me directly, then my email address is here and my LinkedIn QR code is here. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this session. It's been around kind of how we can optimize customer experience, as I said, with Dynamics 365 Contact Center. Think of it in those three pillars: the self-service, the agent assist, and the driving efficiency. And just keep that in mind. And finally, I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Crimbo and hope you have a fantastic festive season, however you celebrate, wherever you are in the world. And thanks very much for tuning in to this episode.